Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Vince Anello Show on WJJL 1440, and you can call us live at 297-1059. And today, our guest today is going to be Council Chairman Walker, Charlie Walker. I'm sure that the subject of sanitation is going to come up. But what I like to do with the show, and you can call us live at 297-1059 with some questions. But what I would like to do is keep the way out concerns or complaints right now to a minimum and give Council Chair Walker at least an opportunity to give us the facts as we know them today, because as you well know, this is a work in progress. And if I've criticized the administration in any way, it's been because I believe that this was left undone for a long, long time, and this administration, more than any previous administration since the Galley administration, who instituted the recycling program and the private sanitation program, and it was working well initially, didn't discuss it, didn't talk about it, didn't try to make any changes at all until just recently. And Tuesday, I was chastised by a caller, and which is fine, I have my opinion, the callers have theirs, but saying that I was criticizing the mayor unfairly because the mayor has been negotiating this for over a year, and that they mentioned that on the Tom Darrow show last week. Well, folks, maybe I did make a mistake, but I don't think so, because I went and I have notes from an RFP that was put out for the sanitation, okay? And the date on the RFP says March 27th, and I think that would be the second attempt at the RFP. But if you look at the original schedule for the RFP, the first step towards addressing the sanitation issue by this administration, okay, this was January 21st, the RFP notice was published. January 30th, a proposal meeting, which means, you start, if there's any questions and whatever, you can start asking questions. February 13th, the responses were due from the people that wanted to respond to this request from the city for sanitation. February 28th, the final responses were supposed to reach the city. March 27th was the last day to submit final proposals. That's March 27, 2014. All the dates that I gave happened in 2014. So how could you be saying, and I'm not saying the mayor said this, I'm saying a caller said this and chastised me for criticizing it. How could you negotiate this contract last year when you didn't even get the replies until March 27th of this year? The final proposals were evaluated by the city March 28th through April 3rd. April 8th, the evaluations were supposed to be completed, and so on and so forth. But the point I'm trying to make here, folks, is that, I think I have a lot of strength in my criticisms so far, and I know I'm not the only taxpayer who's been criticizing this effort. And again, recycling is not new. It started with Mayor Galley. And what the program needed all along was support. And what it needed really was financial support from the city to actually invest in people to enforce the law. And we could never get any support for that. Okay, we could never get any support for that. And to be honest with you, money's been tight. Ever since the Galley administration, money was tight. It was tighter during the Irene Ely administration, and I didn't get the kind of casino money that it's available now. And the fact of the matter is that both morally and legally, you shouldn't be using casino money for the day-to-day operation to run the city. But look, they've been using the casino money. They bought $2.1 million worth of bins with casino money, so God bless them. But the point is, I was talking about the technical part of this business, not the, and the implementation. The implementation, there wasn't any. It's simple as that. With the resources that this administration has had, plus something that no previous administration, including Galley, had, was an expert in the field, who's second in command, so to speak. And it wasn't touched in 2008, and the administration should have actually, with those kind of resources, should have hit the ground running in 2008. And it's obvious now that it's rolled out that this administration wasn't even familiar with the laws that it's supposed to enforce. They acted like there weren't any laws on the books, like we had to write new laws. Well, if you're going to write new laws, why didn't you start 2 years ago or 3 years ago to start the laws? Because writing laws is a process, and laws always evolve, and they evolve just like they're evolving right now real quick, is that, for instance, the council is going to make some proposals pretty soon, and one of them was in the paper. I think it was the Buffalo News that reported this morning in The Brink with Aaron. It was that 400 businesses are going to be given the opportunity to continue with their curbside tote, curbside pickup. So again, and every time you change something like that, the original bid goes up. Because it involves more effort. It involves more labor. The other thing I want to point out is that I'm not the only one that's criticizing this. Of the respondents, 3 contractors responded to this request. 2 of the contractors pulled out of it, and both of them cited that the reason they could not respond to the proposal was because they did not have enough time to evaluate the proposal and to prepare to do justice to sanitation to the city of Niagara Falls. So being professionals, they said, well, we might not be able to handle this in this time, in the time allotted. So we can't reply. And they thanked the city, and they said, think about us again if you ever put this proposal back out. So again, I'm not the only one saying that this was just thrown out there. You have professionals in the field who have to be very, very nice in saying no thank you, wrote letters to the city and said we cannot take advantage of this effort because there isn't enough time to evaluate it. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because certainly this is an opinion show, and I voice my opinion probably more than anybody else because it's my show and I have the microphone, and that's fine, right? I mean, if you want to voice your opinion, go ahead, get your own show, that's fine. And I don't think I've hung up on anybody. And I do challenge callers, and I think that's part of the business. I try to make this an educational effort too for all of us, including me. And what I don't understand is why didn't this administration take the time and maybe buy coffee for former mayors or council members who had to struggle through this without any money and say, what did you find in the issue of sanitation that affected the city most? What would you do? What would you have done if you have had the resources? Is there anything that you ran into that you would do different? Was there anything that you were doing that you would do different? Is there anything that you wish you could have done but you didn't have the resources to do it? And I think that's what the city needs, and that's what this administration needs, is to at least benefit from some of the things, even mistakes from the past, we can benefit from. But this administration has insulated itself from everybody else, and now they threw this out and said, let's see what comes up. Well, what comes up is that I can't get a return phone call from City Hall because they're apparently somebody's upset with me, all right, which is fine. I still get my information. There's a law that says that I have a way of getting information. I plan on pushing that law. But again, the point is that it's important. Recycling is important. Sanitation is important to every community. We need to address it. The council is doing some homework. But all I'm saying is it shouldn't have been that hard. And with the kind of money that this administration has thrown around and with the kind of talent it's blessed with, they should not have had this problem. And again, I want to remind the administrator and the mayor's office that I have a call back waiting right now. I've called several times, and I'm sending emissaries over there to find out what's wrong. They won't even tell me if they're just upset with me or they just don't have enough time. So I'm looking for an answer, and I'm going to keep bringing it up, as long as they treat me like I'm not a taxpayer. I'm a taxpayer, okay? And that's just the way it works. Good morning, Charles. I had to get that out of the way because, to be honest with you, it does bother me that, and I know you're not going to get into the ins and outs behind the scenes stuff because I don't expect you to, okay? But the fact of the matter is that I don't even think that the council was actually consulted in any of this until the last minute. At least that's my impression.
Yeah. I mean, we've had some conversations, but pretty much the way it rolled out was not like it was discussed early on, and so those are the kind of issues we've had.
Right. Listen, there's one caller. Let's get him out of the way, and then I definitely want you to tell us the up-to-date information on this recycling. Okay. Yes, caller, you're on. Go ahead, Charles. Just give it. And you were around when I believe you were around, and when we started sanitation in the first place, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you were on the council. So what I'm saying is, wouldn't you go to that person in 2008 and say, look, sanitation is a big deal here. It's costing us a lot of money. How do we, you were on the council when it was instituted. What were the pitfalls? What were the problems? What you think, that was all about? Let me get this call because apparently we were having trouble on the phones earlier too. Yes, caller, you're on.
Hey, Vince, helping us. How are you?
Hey, Sal, how you doing?
Not bad.
How things going?
Very good. I'm just curious. I had made a call to Modern, and I did speak with somebody. And they told me they wouldn't be able to come on my program because they wouldn't until they got permission from somebody. But they didn't say who. Right. I was just curious if you had any calls to Modern or any.
Yes, I have, and basically basically the same answer. Although I haven't gotten the answer, but I didn't get the return phone call that I was promised either.
Okay,
but I did speak with somebody that was very, very good, very receptive. Took down the notes. I told them all I wanted was information, but I wanted to put the information on the air because I think it's time that the taxpayers really understand this. And I honestly want full participation from the taxpayers. It's money. It's money that we're wasting.
Yeah, I'm just curious. What changes they're going to make. Charlie, I hope you'll be able to tell us today maybe what's in store for what's coming up. I don't understand why somebody would not be allowed to talk about it. That's the thing that gets me. It seems to me when they say, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to respond to you or come on your show. I got to see if I'm allowed. That, to me, tells me something is not right.
Well, the other thing, Sal, I can understand their point of view because their contract isn't solid yet. Mm-hmm. Their contract is not solid. So if I'm not going to upset my customer, by me shooting my mouth off and trying to explain the contract mm-hmm. in public when the people that we elect to explain the contract are struggling with it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah, that makes sense. They did provide me with a video that is on the air now and will play through the weekend. It shows how the garbage trucks go down the sidewalk, the street, and actually reach out and pick up the bins.
Right.
How you would have to place the bins, and then a little bit about recycling and all the money that it will generate. And I hope, Charlie, that we will see some of that money in the near future.
And Sal, the thing is, you just said it. The video shows you about the truck. See, those are the kind of things that I expected to struggle through, not implementing the laws, enforcing the laws, teaching people that the laws are on the books. This is, you were a police officer. What would happen if you didn't enforce the law for 15 years out of your career, and then in the 16th year, something very obvious, spitting on the sidewalk or whatever, is going to be enforced, and all of a sudden you start issuing tickets for that. People would get all upset, but you know what? There was a law in the books about spitting on the sidewalk. Nobody's ever enforced it.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is if you don't enforce laws, you have to re-educate people on why the laws were passed in the first place.
Yeah. I wonder if these, and maybe Charlie can answer that, if the people who are going to be checking on this garbage drop-off, what you could put in and what you can't, what they will be doing and what position they will take if you violate it. Can they issue you a ticket, a citation? What is their authority? Yeah. How far can they go?
I mean, that's pretty much the way the program is going to work, and that's why I say, the way this thing is rolling out, the council is learning daily of some of the things that's coming out of this. We got a meeting today to look at the ordinance to see what it says, because, like I say, when this thing started and my early conversations it was all about making sure we can clean up our streets, get rid of some of the animals, give people a bin they can put their garbage in. The recycling was more like secondhand. But now this program comes out, recycling is number one, sanitation is number two. And that's going to take time for people to learn such a program and to get used to doing it. Because
over the limit of garbage.
Well, see, that's the thing. If you can't,
Charlie?
if you can't put all that garbage into that bin, then you're going to have to put it back to the side and wait till next week, because you can't put it next on the ground. You're gonna get, you'll get a citation for putting it on the ground. So the idea is to get people to see that you can get your garbage in that small bin if you take your recycling out and put it in the larger bin.
I'm not so sure about that. I mean, I use at least 2 garbage cans per week. So I mean,
the council has been having that conversation, and that's why we're waiting to see what the ordinance says, because individuals who have large families would need a second bin, and so those are issues we want to make sure that those individuals can get that second bin.
And in parts of the city where they're having infestations of rodents, you're not going to want to store your garbage for an extra week somewhere.
Exactly.
So anyway, we have the video on the air, Vince. If anybody wants to see how the garbage trucks pick it up and how you place the cans and a little bit about recycling, it'll be on all weekend. So,
Sal, before you go, can I get a copy of that video so I can show it on the radio?
You know what? The funny thing, it's a funny thing. After I showed it yesterday, I said, geez, I wonder if Vince showed this on his show Tuesday. Have a good 4th, gentlemen.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Take care. Goodbye.
Take care. But again, see, this is I think I'm being realistic in the points that I've been bringing up on the radio for the last 3 weeks on this on the sanitation issue. And what you just said about the recycling being separate, it is. Recycling can be a moneymaker. Sanitation is a cost, period.
Exactly.
The only way you can reduce that cost is by taking it out of the waste stream. And that takes education and foresight, okay? And one of the ways to take it out of the waste stream is recycling. But it's 2 totally different things, because recycling, you can make money on it.
Right.
We do have some other callers. Let's see. Caller, you're on.
Hey, Fitz, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, Charlie, when was the council first notified of this change of the recycling and the contract negotiation? What was the time period of this when you guys were first notified?
I think it was shortly after the RFP went out, because, like I said, when we first started talking about,
Which would have been after January
because the
of this year.
Because our sanitation contract was up,
Right.
and so we had to get a new contract, and so the administration began negotiating a new contract, and when they negotiated a new contract, this is what they came up with.
Now, this had to be on his table or his agenda a year ago, all right? You just don't come up January, we're going to change our plan. Now, did the council have any, we know they didn't bring you on board for any information or part of this negotiation or educating the council, so the next couple of months we're going to go to recycling. Could the council stop this, say, let's hold this off another year, let's educate the public, and let's start this January 1, 2015. Could the council have done that?
I'm not sure what our options could be. It may be possible, but the thing is this: we have to get some sort of contract in place. We have the garbage bins out. So our thing right now on the council is to try to get this thing done with the least amount of pain as possible, at least to make sure.
I think what's happening right now is the council now is caught in the middle, I think, of the administration's I'm going to say blunder, because this shouldn't have been put out in a 3-month period. This should have been a 1-year plan. Within a year, it's got to educate the citizens of Niagara Falls and the businesses. Listen, this is our new plan, and we are contract negotiation. All right, we are going to go into recycling. No matter who it's going to be with, we are going into recycling. And this is what the change is going to be. I think it's the biggest problem is there's not enough information out. The plan itself works. It's a great idea. Cuts down garbage, rodents.
Right. I
I
think that's the biggest problem people have. I mean, that's not the idea.
No,
I mean,
not at all.
a cleaner, greener Niagara Falls is great. But I think the issue is the issue is people just didn't get enough time to really understand what it is you were doing and how it was going to affect me.
See, and here's the thing, Joe. You said about going back to the old contract just for another year. We could easily get another year extension. You address some labor cost and you could do it. Okay, but here's the problem. Here's it's the same thing as you starting a business. You buy $2.1 million or $2.2 million worth of equipment, but you're not going to use it. See, that would have never happened if the casino money wasn't so readily available. It's so darn easy to grab that casino money that we don't stop and think. If that was taxpayers' money, you could wait for your bins for another 10 years and nobody would complain. Because Mayor Galley had to wait, Mayor Elia had to wait, and I had to wait. You think we didn't think about recycling when we knew that the only way to reduce the cost of sanitation was to improve recycling? You think all those 3 mayors were that dumb that they couldn't figure that out?
It's just the point is, and the program's going to work. It's a great idea. It's just how the rolling out. There's so many unanswered questions, Charlie. Like Sal was just saying, how are you going to go down the street? Cars going to be in the way. Snow removal, going to be piling on the street. There's just so many. I mean, maybe they should have sat back and say, let's look at Lockwood. It's an older city. They've been doing it out ahead of us. How's it work? Do a better study. I just think he was just so eager to get this thing off the ground, and it's not gonna backfire, but there's gonna be a lot of problems. And I say within the first year of this program.
Joe, my understanding is that they did consult with other cities, but what they consulted on was the laws and ordinances, not the implementation.
Right. That's why I suggested to you the other day, it'd be great if you could get someone from Modern to come on, not to criticize it. Now, I see there to show the program how it's going to work. I see the Landlord Association going to do one at 8:30 in the morning, July 9th at the Jetport, and Modern is going to be there. I just think they need to, I don't know, tell the public, answer the question. The administration can't answer the question.
Yeah.
Charlie can't answer this question. What are you going to do when you go down a street like Fort Avenue? It's a two-way street. You got garbage on both sides. You got a car in the driveway. The council doesn't know how to answer that question. Modern knows how to answer this question. The administration doesn't know. It's Modern. Modern needs to get out now with the public and the administration and start educating the people. The next month, these are your questions. This is what we have to answer. Let's tell you how it's going to get done. And I just think you put the cart before the horse on this.
And every problem has a solution, Joe. Maybe not to everybody's satisfaction, but every problem has a solution. And to treat this like I'm going to drive it down your throat because I'm a green administration and you're going to learn to like it, that's a bad attitude.
I know we have to change. Change is tough, and I have no problem because and also I think that this rodent situation in LaSalle had an awful lot to do with this. All right, because putting these bins out will reduce your rodent problem, and I believe that had a lot to trigger this off.
People have been complaining. People have been complaining about the alleys and the ripped up. There's a law against having bags laid next to your garbage can. You're supposed to have a garbage can with a lid. That law was never enforced. But what I'm saying is, okay, that's the biggest problem that people complain about. Get the totes to take care of the garbage. Now the first problem would have been resolved and evolved. Okay? Then you go into the recycling, as people understand that the totes is a positive, not a negative.
Right.
Exactly. I feel bad for the council because they're going to get the blunt of this.
Well, they're getting big money now. You know.
Oh yeah, they get the big bucks now. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. They can take the heat. But they're the ones that caught in the middle of this thing.
No,
and they
that's
weren't
right.
educated properly in the very beginning.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Thanks a lot, Joe.
All right,
But
okay, man.
I mean, there's also an open house on Saturday, July 12th, from 9 to 12 at DeVoe Woods. I think Modern may be at that open house.
And you know, I think education and information are very, very important. You had something. There's a meeting coming up, right?
I'm not sure if there's a meeting other than that July 12th.
No, but I'm saying that this
The
issue.
council will be meeting with the law department to discuss the ordinance, what the law is actually going to say.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people fail to realize that, you know, how you put your garbage out is regulated, and you can be fined if you don't do it properly.
But that's my frustration. My frustration is I know there's a law in the books. Before you create a law, why don't you find out why the old law wasn't enforced, or if there's something wrong with it?
I mean, this program, as great as it can be, if it's not enforced, it's nothing.
Exactly.
It's
and
nothing.
having inspectors without the power to give you a ticket that has a court date on it, okay?
Oh yeah,
It's not going to happen.
Without enforcement, this doesn't work.
No.
We've just wasted money.
You're going to have you're going to have a couple people with uniforms walking around the alleys, walking around where the garbage cans are, but all they can do is report. That's not good.
Yeah.
They have to have the power, the authority to cite like a cop.
Exactly.
Simple as that. And before we go to our caller, hang on 1 second, and we'll get right to you. As a matter of fact, we have a couple of callers. Again, Charles, we do have some callers on the line, and if you want, we can take the callers, or if you have some more important news you want to give us.
No, I just think as these totes are rolling out, I mean, because there hasn't been a lot of information out on this issue, and that was one of our concerns. But on the lid of one of those totes is a information packet,
Right.
that talks about how you recycle and things like that. So that's a little information for individuals who, when they look at those totes and wondering, just what's really going on here.